I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this Tuesday, January 27th of 2026. First up on our agenda, we have messages from board members. Do we have any messages from the board this evening?
Quickly, thank you. I'm not sure which city department was responsible for the cleanup of Kirkwood after the championship game. I don't know if it was Parks or Sanitation or the street department.
Public Works.
Public Works, very good. Just wanted to say I drove through Kirkwood about 9 a.m. the next day, and there was hardly a sign of anything happening. They did an amazing job, and the community thanks.
Perfect.
Thanks.
I will second that comment. I also took a little walk on my way into the office down Kirkwood just to make sure it was still there, and everything was in very nice order. Also, of course, I'm sure, Adam, you'll fill us in on all the details during your staff report today. Of course, a huge gratitude to everyone who has been working to recover from this major snowstorm from, of course, Public Works Department, Adam, Joe, the entire crew who was out there, for days on end, still out there cleaning things up. Really appreciate that, and also all the other city departments that have to jump in and lend a hand in those situations. I think that we're very fortunate to have the crews who work so hard that we have, and I'm very appreciative. Also appreciative of those residents who have chipped in to help each other. I am sure many people have helped their neighbor or their child dig out of the snow, and just appreciate the helping hands all around in getting cleaned up after the storm. Next up, we have petitions and remonstrances. If anyone would like to make a public comment about something that is not on our agenda this evening, now is the opportunity to do so. If you have joined us on Zoom, you can use the raised hand function or the chat function to let us know you'd like to make a comment. And if you're here in the room, you are welcome to approach one of the microphones here at the table.
We only have city staff or petitioners on Zoom right now.
All right, seeing none. Next, we have the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 2026-07, Mobile Vendor Planted Bloomington, a Resolution 2026-08, Mobile Vendor Community Kitchen, Service Agreement with CATS, and Payroll. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda this evening?
None for me.
None for me.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on anything within the consent agenda this evening?
Nope.
All right, seeing none. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda for tonight's meeting of January 27, 2026.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Carone.
Aye.
Roach.
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have new business. First, under new business is LPA Consulting Contract Amendment 2 with WSP Inc. for West 2nd Street Modernization Project.
Yeah, Kendall Kanoki, City of Bloomington Engineering. Thanks for hearing me tonight. This is a contract amendment that essentially is capturing what I've broken down into 4 different categories of design work that wasn't captured in our original contract. So there was original contract in 2022, and then that was amended in 2023 to provide right-of-way services, so there's no change to the design portion of that. But as we worked through our design documents, this is an NDOT project, federally funded. There's a lot of requirements. We ran into a lot of additional work that was required to get through NDOT approvals, specifically with NDOT's ADA compliance and their technical advisory committee that they have that you just have to go to, and then you have to go to again, and our consultant really went above and beyond preparing exhibits and going through this very onerous process that we did not anticipate when we prepared the contract. Additionally, the city passed a new stormwater ordinance, and as part of our project design, we were attempting to provide as much detention as possible, and we were doing different analyses to see what was possible with this project and what wasn't, and I think we've come up with really good solutions for that. But again, that portion of work was a bit beyond the additional scope of this original design contract. And then the third was just some additional redesign to coordinate with some of our other projects that were going on, specifically at Hopewell West, just making sure we had a seamless tie-in with that project. So that's kind of the three areas at the top there. And then additionally, we're going to do some survey of what was built out at Hopewell East to make sure we're tying into everything beautifully there and we don't have much more expensive issues during construction or knowing ahead of time. So that's really all compiled into this contract amendment here in front of you today. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item?
Not for me.
All right, seeing none.
You
Yeah.
can't see Elizabeth, so I'll let you, she shook her
Okay.
head no.
Thank you. You're
Sorry,
just gonna.
no, I don't. Thank you.
You're just gonna have to mimic her through the entire meeting. All right. Any public comments on this item?
Not on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the LPA Consulting Contract Amendment 2 with WSP Inc. for the West 2nd Street Modernization Project.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Carone,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next is the LPA consulting contract with Crossroad Engineers, PC, for preliminary engineering at Hopewell South project.
Kendall Kanoki Engineering Department again. So this is a design contract for Hopewell South, which is currently being considered by the Plan Commission and City Council for a rezone to PUD. So the intent is to provide additional residential housing as well as some possible commercial institutional uses. So this specific design contract is for all the infrastructure and the subdivision that will be required for this project. So that would be roadway design, utilities, drainage, doing all the survey work, subdividing the property, and any associated work with that, with permitting, getting things built. I did clarify it does not include the actual design or construction of the individual homes themselves. The current plan is to kind of have a menu of homes that builders can select from, and then they'll have everything ready and just go out and build. But we are going to prepare the site for these homes. There's still kind of some unknown as to what will be the final iteration of what's approved by City Council. So we don't know exactly what that will be, but we are ready, whatever is approved, that we can go ahead and subdivide and do all the engineering work for that. This does include what is the old Convalescent Center that's currently being considered for a possible BPD headquarters site. Really, the main reason for that is all of that property that building is on and everything else is all just one parcel. Has to be subdivided, it has to be included in this contract. So that's a part of this. The contract is set at a not to exceed amount of $424,200, and we expect to move forward full steam ahead with design, hoping to even get underway with construction this year. So happy to answer any questions on this one.
I'll just real quick comment, excuse me, on both of these. The last contract with the amendment for the engineering of all the West 2nd Street, and then this large consulting contract for more design. And in a lot of ways this can be considered of redeveloping a large part of our city. We were putting a lot of staff time, resources, effort into the Hopewell project and everything that it holds for the future of the community. So this is just another step in that. We've gotten the Hopewell East kind of started, and that's taken off. We've got these road projects going now. This is another phase of all of that redevelopment that is all the old Bloomington Hospital site. So exciting to start seeing some of this come to fruition when it was all thought about back in 2013, 14, 15, whatnot. So just kind of add those comments.
And I will add, this is using TIF funding, which is being considered by the RDC in a week. So if they do not approve the funding for whatever reason, then this contract just wouldn't be, we wouldn't issue an NTP to move forward with it.
So I do have a couple questions. Who is the actual petitioner in front of the Plan Commission and the City Council? Is it the city government, or is there a private developer on board already doing that petition work?
They've hired a consultant to prepare documentation and the PUD itself. I believe the petitioner, though, is the redevelopment commission. Yes.
Okay. And does this contract include any of the preliminary design work to get to the city council?
So that's all being handled by the consultant that's doing
Consultant,
PUD.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so Hopewell South, we're talking about the land south of First Street? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
How far south of First Street does this go? Is Wiley the southern boundary?
That's correct. Yeah, there's some property west of Fairview, along First Street, south side of First Street, and then there's a big parcel that's kind of Fairview, First, Rogers, and Wiley is all part of this.
And so what I heard you say earlier in the staff report is that city council is considering the options as far as those designs that might be available and how they're going to proceed with that. So this, we are reviewing and approving this, and then this design is going to be informed by what city council approves. Is this
That's
the right
correct.
order?
Yeah, engineering work will be required no matter what. I mean, even if we proceeded under current zoning, all of these same things will be required. So whatever they end up approving, that's what we'll move forward with.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the board?
None for me.
Any public comments on this item?
I don't see any on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the LPA consulting contract with Crossroad Engineers PC for preliminary engineering at the Hopewell South project.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Crum,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have extension on lane and sidewalk closures for Duke Energy on West 11th Street.
Hello, Zach Bell, engineering. One moment. Duke Energy is requesting an extension of the duration of sidewalk and lane closures located at West 11th Street. These closures were previously approved at the November 18th, 2025 BBW meeting. A late start, inclement weather, and other complications have slowed work substantially. The new target finish date is March 31st, 2026. An extension of 30 working days or 6 weeks is requested.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item?
Just to be clear, the original target finish date was 6 weeks prior to March 31st?
I believe that's accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Zach, they've been in good touch with you. They've been keeping up.
Yeah. I've checked on them bi-weekly, and they've just run into lots
Yeah.
of problems. They're having to move the truck when buses comes through, so they're having some access issues along with weather.
This is a tight location up in here.
Have there been?
Adam, have we heard any U reports or any considerations from city residents about this?
I have not seen any in association with this permit. They haven't advanced very far, so they're still in the section of West 11th that doesn't have sidewalk there on the side that they're working. So aside from the lane closure, I don't foresee that there would be any issues at this point.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board on this item? Any public comments on this item?
Nothing on Zoom.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
Sorry, I move that we approve the extension on lane and sidewalk closures for Duke Energy on West 11th Street.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Caron,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have sidewalk and lane closures at West First Street for Clark Landscaping.
All right, Zach Bell, engineering again. Clark Landscaping is requesting approval for sidewalk closures at 1004 West First Street. This request is for sidewalk replacements on the north and south side of West First Street. A pedestrian detour will be in place for the expected duration of 1 week per side. Andy Clark has supplied maintenance of traffic plans for all work.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item?
Just quickly, Clark Landscaping, that's the company who has applied for the permit. They're the ones doing the work. What's spurring this? Why are they doing
I
this
think
sidewalk?
that's not a question I asked the applicant, but I do think that it was in result of a sidewalk letter. I think so. I believe so. And they do
deteriorating
own
sidewalk, and the property owners are.
and they do
fixing
own
it.
property on
Both sides.
both sides.
Great, thank you.
And this is to the west of the Hopewell area, right? So
Yeah.
like we're outside of Hopewell.
Yep.
So anything that might be happening in that area is not necessarily going to be impacted by this project.
No, and this is 1 week per side.
And that's a heavy estimate.
Yeah.
That's something I did because they said 3 days, and I just think with the size of it, I think more likely 1 week per side is more accurate.
And this will all occur before anything else happens on the other side with any of the work with Hopewell, either south or with Second Street.
Yeah, if there's any problems with that, we can coordinate if there is anything that come up.
I'm totally entranced by the street configuration here and the names, but I'm not going to fixate on it. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to just know
Yes.
it's right.
I saw it also.
I don't know if it's like in some spots it almost looks like unimproved alley maybe that's associated with the streets, but I'm not gonna dwell. It's good. It's a good spot. Okay. Any other questions from the board before I go down into my rabbit hole?
None.
All right. Any public comments on this item?
None on Zoom.
All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the sidewalk and lane closures at West First Street for Clark Landscaping.
Second?
All right. I will call the roll. Corone,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have closures and lane shifts at 115 East Kirkwood for Odyssey Construction with a noise permit.
Kyle Ball, Engineering, and I'll apologize, this one is wordy, but there's a lot going on here. So I'll just read it verbatim and we'll get into questions. So Odyssey Construction is requesting a pedestrian diversion, intermittent closures, traffic lane shifts, intermittent lane closures, alley closures, metered parking reservations, all in association with the project at 115 East Kirkwood Avenue. The request impacts the northern sidewalk on East Kirkwood, the north-south and east-west alleys surrounding 115 East Kirkwood, the east-west travel lanes on East Kirkwood, and the metered parking spaces along the north side of East Kirkwood. These proposed closures would be used to accommodate utility relocations and the construction of condominiums with ground floor retail at 115 East Kirkwood. The temporary traffic control measures would be in place from January 28th through July 28th, 2027 for approximately 18 months. The requested closures mentioned here, these would be very temporary. These would be in the case of some deliveries that are planning, that will be scheduled. One's on Kirkwood for concrete pours, estimated 12 to 18 if memory serves. Occurrences which we would stipulate that would not occur during daytime hours, so it would be early morning operations, hence the attached noise permit to accommodate those during those non-peak hours. Same goes for the sidewalk closure. Obviously, we wouldn't want pedestrians interacting on that north side whenever that type of work is occurring. We've worked with Odyssey Construction on material delivery, staging, They have reached out to the neighbors, so they have a plan in place and have held meetings with the neighbors there to coordinate on things like trash pickup, deliveries, all the nuts and bolts of the area. I think that covers everything. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item?
Just some clarifying questions. So the lane closures and the work makes total sense. I'm looking at the next resolution, authorization of scheduling noise permits. How are these interrelated, and how is that one different? I'm probably jumping ahead, but
No, you're fine. This one went back and forth with Miranda on quite a bit to figure out how to do this properly. So this is the associated noise permit that would be future schedule. So we don't have a definitive timeline or exact dates of when these instances would occur where these closures would be in place, where we'd have some extra construction traffic on Kirkwood, and then that would be in the early morning hours.
with those specific dates, once they're determined, would those be approved by staff or come back to the board?
They would be director level, from my understanding.
Yeah, so what we've worked out here is we know that the concrete pours for the footers and such are going to be extensive, and that those are going to be pumper trucks, everything else, and trying to get them started before the city ordinance allows at 6 a.m. If we can start them a couple hours earlier, 4 a.m., allows us to get that traffic back open on Kirkwood more during the commercial parts of the day. I'll just jump in with a couple other comments generally about this project. So for those at home that may be watching on Cats or whatnot, 115 East Kirkwood is the empty parking lot adjacent to CVS. That's been undeveloped for some time now. It's just served as a surface parking lot. There have been several iterations of that project over time, of a project at that site over time. This is the one that's gotten to the point where they're ready to move forward with construction, with right-of-way permits. This site is super challenging. So it's basically got 0 lot lines. It's going to be a very tight construction site. Staging, all the different materials and such to build it. It's not a corner lot either. If this is a corner lot, you then have more access from 2 sides. So we've been really trying to work with the developers and the team that's working on the construction for this to try to minimize the impacts while recognizing there are going to be significant impacts to that block throughout the construction period, hopefully 18 months or so. Additionally, there is a lot of utility relocation work and such that is associated with it. So, trying to get all of this coordinated and to know when exactly things are going to occur is just still somewhat up in the air, but obviously working closely with everyone. When it comes to those noise, back to the noise permits and such, instead of trying to come back with a package of noise permits, this allows the board to grant Andrew Seaboard, the engineering director, and myself as public works director to work directly with the teams to know when it's going to occur, get notifications out. It's possible we would come back for additional noise permit for nighttime construction, depending on how the project's going. It's right down in the commercial area, so we want to help expedite construction the best we can while recognizing it's got a lot of site limitations. I do see we've got Adam Kunkel on. Adam's with Odyssey and the development, and then Ben's here too to help answer any questions, but something we've been trying to coordinate for quite some time, and it's taken a lot of effort. Appreciate Ben and Adam and everybody being good partners and trying to make this all work. The other thing I'll say as a further comment, the Economic and Sustainable Development staff today sent off a memo to the City Council and others outlining what our plans for the outdoor dining season will be. We are not planning to close Kirkwood in the ways that we have in the past couple years. We're recommending a parklet only program, enhancing that program, allow folks to use the parking spaces while we further study Kirkwood and actually closing it for dining or other things. So there's a big memo that's gone out on that, but so we were already not really planning to close that block for the outdoor dining, so that's also had some shifting factors that we've been kind of working through here. So yeah, that's all I've got to add. Kyle, did I miss anything?
No, that's plenty, I think,
Okay.
from both of us.
Adam, thanks for preempting one of my questions about the parklets. My other question is about any large-scale festival that uses the footprint of Kirkwood from Walnut to Indiana. How will these closures impact any of those, particularly this, I think, upcoming summer 2026?
Yep, it will have impacts, but we'll try to mitigate and try to work around the ones that, I won't talk about it. So Lotus tends to use that first block for a lot of their ticketing, merchandising type stuff. Taste was down there with the same. We're going to work with developers, work with the property owners, and when there are impacts, and this is kind of what we said in our special event application hearing the other couple weeks ago, is when there are major construction projects, developments, or other impacts to our approved festival footprints, we're going to work with the festival organizers and the developers to mitigate the impacts, but then when it's not possible, we'll have to think about alternative locations for what was happening in this area for those festivals.
That's helpful, thank you.
So with this request, I don't see a specific right-of-way closure, although I do read in the staff report that there is temporary traffic control measures, which to me says there are going to be impacts to the rights of way. When I think about this date range, January 28th through July 28th, is any portion of the right of way around the project going to essentially be closed for either that duration or a shorter but substantial duration during that time? Or are these just temporary closures for moving and truly day-to-day kinds of impacts?
Right, that's a great call out. So we would have the pedestrian diversion, so that's where the temporary traffic control elements come in, the vast majority of this project timeline. So we consider any of the associated items, temporary traffic control devices, and part of the plan. The north-south alleyway closure, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong here, the north-south alleyway closure would be the footer that we're gonna be cutting into first. Is that correct?
Really on Kirkwood would be the first one, and then we will be able to go up north-south. And then
Actually, can you come up to the table and just state your name for the record?
Sorry, yeah.
No, all good.
Yep, Ben Kunkel with Genesis Built. We think Kirkwood would be the first footing that we would put in. Start taking out the sidewalk, the brick pavers, the tree, a couple of street trees, the lights, and work that whole area, and then work up the north-south alley. But we can't go too far because we're waiting on Duke to remove some poles. And once that happens, we can go a little further and make our way over the back. So the idea is to work our way from the front to the back, digging the hole. It's a big hole. So, yeah.
Can you outline, so like the sidewalk on Kirkwood and the restrictions on that, that'll be in place for the duration of the project, or what will be closed, just for the board, outlining what will be closed when and for how long?
Right, my understanding is that would be utilized for the duration as a lay-down area, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So the pedestrian diversion will be in place, when the project puts it in place, but basically we can assume it would be in place for the duration of this time span once it has been placed through July 28th. And then the alleyway, so we're really only talking about, I looked at the map, we're really only talking about there's two alleyways, and that is along what I'm perceiving as the back of the
So there's the one
project.
on the north side of the project footprint, and there's the one on the west side of the project footprint.
And those alleyways, can we assume those are closed for the duration of the project?
Believe enough for pedestrian, they still have egress out of their buildings, they still have deliveries, they still have trash, they got to wheel up and down to get to the major, but yeah, not for vehicle, no, it's closed.
Okay.
So if you think about the building that had I think of it as the old Sullivan's building. I think it's still called that, but we're baked to Bloomington. They've got some apartments above. Some of those apartments, their access is off the alleyway there. Think about, the backside of Malibu Grill and all of those. They're going to be taking deliveries. And so
Emergency egress.
emergency egress, all those things. So that's what we'll be taking into account for all those alleys and trying. The delivery truck's not going to get the produce delivery from the alley. They're going to come off of Kirkwood and have to wheel. But that's where we're going to rely on, Ben and his team and the property owners and everybody to be regularly communicating with those neighbors and being good neighbors in what's going to be a challenging footprint of a project.
And were the neighbors notified about this meeting?
Yes.
Question about the street parking. The report mentions some closure of metered parking on the north side. Is that just the 2 spaces in front of CVS what we're talking about? Or are we talking about some more further to the west, like or next to
No, yeah, just what's
Okay.
in front of the property.
Yeah. There's, I think, 2 spaces too in front of the street trees there.
Like at the lot, in front of the lot.
in front of the street trees?
Or,
To the east?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That way.
Sometimes I want to go like this. So.
I recognize that the map isn't to scale necessarily, but the pedestrian diversion, will that essentially be to the south of the sidewalk and street tree area into the street?
Yeah, so that would
And
be.
so that will essentially condense the traffic going east and west on Kirkwood, as well as potentially there's that parklet for uptown on the other side there.
Yeah, that's all being taken into account. So when we're still in the configuration where there will be some lane shifts using the park.
Yeah.
So there will be some
shift
lane
south.
shifts to the south using some of the parking in front of like the Buzzkirk and I can't think of the name, Chubby's Taco Place and the Alumni Hall. Like some of that will be traffic will be diverted there during certain phases of the project. And there will be then the pedestrian walk around at that same time, right? Yeah.
And again, the pedestrian walk around will be in place for the entire 18 months of the project.
Correct.
So traffic will be impacted at some level for the entire 18 months?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Is there any possible way those 2 street trees can be preserved in place?
No,
No.
that's just the reconfiguration that's happening with. Yeah.
The
Yes,
whole
between
lot.
taking out the
Yeah.
drive and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. It's tight.
And you'll have a landscape plan that you have to put back in per UDO.
Yeah. Yeah, there's getting new landscape.
As this project continues, we'll obviously keep the board up to speed on any developments with it, anything that comes up, whether it's staff reports or modifications to any of the right-of-way permits. Obviously going to be working very closely with Ben and their teams on kind of the week-to-week, day-to-day stuff that's going to come up with a big project like this. But anything else we're forgetting?
I hope not.
And just for some context related to the noise permits, are you anticipating these are sort of daily noise permits? Or I know you said there could be a situation where construction necessitates overnight construction for a longer period of time. Is that then coming back to the board?
Anything else this is just specifically for those concrete pours, nothing else. If they did want to come back and say, hey, we've gotten behind schedule because of X, Y, Z, and we want to start working overnights for 2 weeks in this period, we would be coming back for other noise permits, but we're hoping that that's not necessary. This is just for these concrete pours.
Yeah, for a very short duration noise permit. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Elizabeth, anything else? Nope.
None for me, thank you.
All right. Public comments on this item. And if you're on Zoom, you can use the raise hand function or the chat function if you've joined us there.
Nope. just got Adam, the other person on the development team.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, is there a motion on this item?
I move that we approve the closures and lane shifts at 115 East Kirkwood for Odyssey Construction with a noise permit.
Second.
All right, I'll call the roll. Corone,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have Resolution 2026-009, authorization of scheduling for the noise permit issued at 115 East Kirkwood. So this is a separate one? or-
We could have probably done one motion there. I was trying to resolve something on Zoom. So, yeah, Resolution 2026-09 authorizes myself or Andrew Seaboard, Engineering Director, to execute those noise permits for those concrete pours we were just talking about.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board, additional questions from the board on that item? Any public comments on this item?
Don't see any.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
If I could just ask one question
Yeah, sure.
pertaining to the motion. I assume there's no difference in the numbering between Resolution 2026-009 as written on the agenda and 2026-09 as written on the resolution?
There was just it made it sound cooler to have the 00.
It's 09. Yeah, I think that's a typo. It should just be 2026-09.
Yeah, because we approved
Okay.
08
for the
earlier.
last mobile vendor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for confirming that. And with that, I move that we approve the Resolution 2026-09, authorization of scheduling for the noise permit issued at 115 East Kirkwood.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Corone,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have staff reports and other business.
All right, Adam Wason, Public Works Director. I'll do this in three parts. First, just a quick update about the South College road closure for the Convention Center Sky Bridge construction. That has about a 2-day delay on it from the last couple days. It was supposed to go into effect first thing overnight Sunday into Monday. For anybody that looked outside during that point in time, there was about a foot of snow coming down or already on the ground, and so what we worked with Weddle over the weekend to try to anticipate, late last week and through the weekend to anticipate. They're going to go live with the closure starting. They'll be implementing that closure later this evening, and then hoping they can still compact it all into the original time frame. But we will be working closely with them on any of that. So that's the first update. The South College road closure for the convention center will begin tomorrow and go for at least 12 days, maybe 14, depending. Second up, James, you mentioned in your comments at the beginning of the meeting about the little party that happened on Kirkwood on the wee hours of Monday into Tuesday, or wee hours of Tuesday morning after the national championship victory on Monday evening. Just want to give a big shout out to our friends in public safety, both Bloomington Police Department and the Fire Department. Public Works was coordinating with them very closely leading up to that game and in the weeks before for all the other games on the way to the championship. And so big shout out to our city crews and our partners with public safety, but a bigger shout out to the fans and those folks that went down to Kirkwood. And we knew they were going to have a good time. We knew they would try to climb up every pole that they could climb up. We knew that there would be something lit on fire. We just knew it. And while all of those things occurred, people climbed up on buildings. To get the reports the next day that there was no serious injury, no major vandalism, is a credit to all of those revelers that came down to celebrate on Kirkwood, and so big thank you. We lost a street tree or two. We had to put out a couch fire. We had lots of individuals climbing on our snow plows that were blocking the streets from a public safety perspective. But in the end, windows weren't broken, looting didn't occur. They really celebrated for the most part safely and without incident. So big kudos all around there. And yeah, our football team is national champions, so that's pretty wild.
Undefeated.
undefeated national
undefeated.
champions.
Don't forget.
And to think that we would ever be saying that about our lovely football program, I as an alum did not. But happy for them, and yeah, big congrats. And then the third topic just want to bring up is all of the snow control efforts. So we started prepping late last week with all of our trucks and getting pre-treatment down and getting fleet services lined up. I don't know if it's exactly historic snowfall, but for a 24-hour period to get over a foot of snow, just big shout out to our crews and at street, at fleet, at public safety, all those folks that were out working through this weather event. It was a lot of snow. We're still doing a lot of digging out. When I came into town yesterday, when I came into the city limits yesterday and saw the condition of the roads after what I knew we had been working on all day and night Sunday, I was just completely impressed. We're having a lot of challenges with blocked sidewalks, with big giant piles of snow everywhere. We're starting to dig out the downtown, trying to reopen parking and things, but this is going to be a challenge for probably weeks to come. What we're seeing in the forecasts show that we're not going to get above freezing anytime soon. There's a little bit of melting occurring when you get salt on some of the snow and the sunshine and such, but we don't expect that this is going to melt away very quickly. So, just really appealing to property owners to make sure they're doing everything they can to clear sidewalks. If you're a corner lot, clearing all the way to the ramps is hugely important and appreciated. We're focusing our efforts with our Brighton Bloomington crews and our downtown staff to try to be working on the ramps and the crosswalks throughout the downtown over the next several days. But pedestrian mobility is going to be a challenge for some time, and we're going to do everything we can. I'll make special note that for our 2026 budgets, we have some pilot type funding or trial funding. I don't want to categorize it, but we are running a pilot program in 2026 here with some funding that we requested to try to work on snow removal from high priority pedestrian network areas that are monolithic sidewalks. So specifically, we're working on South Walnut Street with a contractor right now. So if you think of the east side of South Walnut all the way from Winslow to 1st or 2nd Street, those are monolithic sidewalks, meaning there's no tree plot between the roadway and the sidewalk. So when that plow pushes the snow off the road, it's going onto the sidewalk. It's got nowhere else to go. So we're doing a contracted project to try to work on some of that snow removal and to try to open that up. Recognizing that when we envisioned this as a pilot project, we didn't think the snowfall that was going to be the pilot would be a foot of snow. When I looked at the corridor this morning and drove and was trying to envision what it would look like, the contractor's literally going to have to haul out most of that snow. Every private lot that cleared snow has pushed and blocked the ramps and the sidewalks on both sides of their driveways and such, and it's a big challenge, but it's something we're looking at, and something we heard from the council that we wanted to try to work on. We'll see how this goes. Other areas that we're prioritizing are out near College Mall, where we know we have a lot of pedestrian traffic on some monolithic sidewalks out there. And then we're continuing to work on the overpasses on the state roads that go over I-69. So State Road 45/2nd Street that goes over I-69, State Road 43, 48 that goes over at 3rd Street. We're also having contractors work on getting those pedestrian side paths cleared from east to west so folks can get to those major employment centers. But again, not going to be easy. We've got it's going to be very challenging for if not the next several weeks, trying to get these pedestrian ways opened up the best we can in partnership with all the private property owners. So appreciate everyone's patience. Again, if you can clear all the way to those ADA ramps, that's hugely important. I guess I should have said I had 4 buckets. I started out with 3 buckets. 4th bucket, sanitation services will resume tomorrow. So we had 2 days worth of delay. One just straight snow, and then the second we were worried about some temperatures. We are going to have the crews in tomorrow. If temperatures do get in that -10 wind chill range, we will be pulling them off route and then hopefully getting them back out. The goal is to get everyone serviced this week, but if you're a sanitation customer, please do everything you can to get your cart as accessible as possible. If it's in the middle of a snowdrift and they cannot pick it up out of the snowdrift, they're not going to be able to service it. So we recognize that this is going to be challenging too, but we're going to do our best to try to get back on schedule, get this week wrapped up, and then start again next Monday with Monday routes, hopefully on Monday. But big shout out to the work the sanitation crews are going to be doing. That's going to be some extremely difficult work trying to get sanitation customer service this week. So.
And cold
Work.
Yeah.
Cold, hard, and
Especially cold.
yeah, it's going to be cold, hard work with difficult circumstances of trying to get to those carts. So big shout out to the sanitation team. I'm sure I could tell you more, but that's it for now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have approval of claims. Any questions from the board on claims?
None.
Any public comments on claims? Is there a motion on the claims?
I move that we approve claims tonight in the amount of $9,133,554.14.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Carone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. And seeing as there's nothing else on our agenda, I will call for adjournment.